Okay, so the instructions, which I promised to show them to you, which are as clear as mud here, you actually have to use the hex head bolts on the toilet retainers. And I'll try to get them for you here. So right there they are. Use these little plastic retainers. You see that those thread on the back side. Again, I'm not a fan, but then I've installed a few toilets the old-fashioned way too. So anyway, so now what's supposed to happen? There we go. You gotta feel that piece slide together in the front. Okay, now, if I did my job right, I'm gonna put the one over here on my left in first, where I don't have the camera. This one was a real challenging one to get to line up and get to thread together. Okay, that one started. Come over here. Now I will eventually caulk these. However, because it's kind of a set together thing underneath of there, I am going to wait until I can flush it a couple times before I caulk this down. I went and found the shutoff valve that I was talking to you about, and I've mentioned expansion packs, but let me see if I can get this zoomed in here. So if you look here, you have this raised ring right in the middle of the fitting. That's what denotates expansion packs or apex from crimp packs. Crimp packs will have a series of these shorter ridges, like right here and right here, and you put a crimp ring over them. This is 1/2 inch. This isn't the problem. This is the problem. This is 1/4 inch compression, and all of your toilet and faucet supply lines are 3/8. Now, when I get around to installing the ice maker, the refrigerator and the ice maker, this will be great. But for right now, it ain't doing me no good. So anyway, we're gonna come back around here. Try to keep my hands out of the way. But I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. Okay, there's that side. And we'll swing around here. And we'll do this side. So then the next thing you do is you have these little beauty covers. And we're gonna push those on there. This makes it easier for her to clean around these. So now we're going to switch over to the tank. So let me swivel around here, and this is what got me with the carriage bolts. I have never seen this before, but it's not an idea that I totally don't like. This black flange here is already on here. That's your only water hole through this tank. These carriage bolts slide up into that bracket. You don't have a hole all the way through the tank. 2 less gaskets, 2 less places to leak. So I kind of like that idea. And then you have the tank to bowl gasket. Still got to have one of those. Okay, that's in. So then you have 2 nuts and 2 washers here. Those are what's going to hold this tank onto the toilet bowl. So I'm gonna try to get the camera set up so you have a good visual of this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now you can see where the tank bolts onto the bowl. So then you lift the tank up. And you get those carriage bolts to drop through the holes, in theory. And there they are. So then, now is where it gets interesting. Because you don't want to crack your bowl or your tank. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let me get down here so you can see where the bolt is coming through. So you take your washer, and your nut, okay, then you come over to the other side. And realize that your bolt slipped out of its position. So, see if I can find it here, if I have to take this all back apart. I think the bolt fell down into the toilet. So let me shut this off. I'm going to take it back apart and go bolt hunting. Sure as life, there's our missing bolt. Guess it goes to show you should check both sides before you put it in. So let's get the camera set back up and let's try this again. You may have seen that happen on camera. I won't know till I review the footage. I just couldn't see it because I was up above it. Sorry about that, folks. I just knocked the camera down. Okay, the good news is I have the bolts both through. So now we're going to try to put this together again. Okay, now what's happened now, here we go, is that bolt was jammed at an angle. I did get it to straighten around. Okay, so now let's go to the other side. The object here is to be smarter than the piece of plumbing you're trying to install. And sometimes I have real problems being smarter than inanimate objects. My wife could probably tell you stories about that, but fortunately she's not up here to tell you stories about me. I'm sure there will come that time, but okay, so now we're loosely put together. So now the next thing you want to look at is your gap between the tank and the bowl. I'm trying to get an angle on this. It's tough to see, but the left side is up a little higher than the right. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to gradually tighten this down, and I'm hoping the camera will cooperate. I'll set you up above there, and I'll try to cinch this down. And the trick is to do it very slowly. You don't want to damage your china bowl or tank. You can crack them very easily if you put too much stress on them. That's decent. I think I'm going to use a wrench here, if I can find. That's a 1/2 inch nut. I can use my adjustable wrench here, or as we from Ohio used to call them, West Virginia socket sets. I can feel the tension in the nut a little better with a wrench than I can a socket. Tells me how tight to get it. Okay, that should be fairly snug on that side. I don't think this side's going to require much. Maybe about a turn and a half. Okay. A little more wiggle in that toilet bowl or toilet tank than I like. Okay, there we go. Now we're tight. Now there's one other thing I want to show you here, and I kind of like this design for this. If you look, sometimes it's hard to see. If you look, you'll see the left side of the tank is closer to the wall than the right side. So the way this design is made, what I can do is grab this from the front and pivot the toilet bowl, and that shadow makes it look like the left side's farther out than the right, but it's not. So I want a little bit more of a snug on the left. And this is something you have to do by feel. It's not something you can you're going to get perfect every time. So that should be good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the supply line on the toilet. We can't put it on the shutoff valve because, once again, we don't have the correct shutoff valve. Those have been ordered, by the way. They'll be here, I think, on Wednesday. Wednesday or Thursday. There's our shutoff valve. So I knew these were going to be fairly short distances the way I did it. So I got some of the shortest toilet valves I could, or toilet supply lines that I could. Good Lord. I'll speak English one of these days. So anyway, your supply line screws on like so. I can do it by hand usually. Then what I'm going to do is I will bring the supply line in like this when I get that shutoff valve, and we'll attach it. And we'll put water in the toilet and leak check it. And then, and only then, will I caulk this thing to the floor. The other thing you might notice, this giant hole in the wall here. I'm really kind of less than impressed with my drywall finishers in some respects. There's what they make, what's called an escutcheon, a beauty ring, a bezel. Anyway, we're going to put that over this pipe to try to cover this hole. We may end up having to put some drywall mud in there. Something else, a lot of you, especially you plumbers out there, they make copper stubs where you can stub copper through the wall, and it does give the project a more finished look. I chose not to do that. A, because this is my house. It's not that critical. And B, we had some problems with those the last house I did with heat transfer damaging the PEX when you went to solder the new valves on. So I decided not to do that in this particular instance. So then the noise you hear in the back is me opening the last of the cardboard packaging. And we have a toilet bowl lid, or tank lid here. And it slides on. And then the last thing we have is our toilet seat. And most toilets today, unless you're buying the really, really cheap stuff, come with a soft close toilet seat. You've seen from the pictures that I've posted that I'm not a tiny guy, and my wife's not small either. You notice I don't put my face on camera a lot. That's because I've been told I have the perfect face for radio. And then also, if you've ever seen the movie Hacksaw Ridge, I've been compared to Ghoul, if you're aware of that character. So now this toilet seat is just a little bit different. So let me get this up here. Now here's our box of mounting hardware. Okay, I'm back. So here's your toilet. The bolts and the washers go through the top, your toilet lid. And you put those down. Hopefully I'm getting this. It seems like the engineers that design this stuff always have to build a better mousetrap. I've never quite seen this style toilet lid hinge and bolts before. So anyway, got this. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. We'll get that to start down there. Come up here. I gotta put my glasses on. I can't see anything without them anymore. There we go. About to go find my cordless drill. I'm just not a fan of using those on toilet seats. Okay, snaps in. And we'll come around here to the other side. Yeah, because you're dealing with vitreous china here, I'm a real believer in doing things by hand so you have that feel. So we have the soft close toilet seat slowly coming down. So the toilet is installed other than the supply line, which is right there. When I get the shutoff valve, I'll bring you back and we'll turn it on and we'll see how everything works.